for note-taking purposes. Our note taker will be Rika, who is our secretary. Somebody else just came in, that's coming in. Okay, so the purpose of this mandatory meeting is because today we are going to select a location to do our project. The Warehouse Selection Committee will present 2 locations. We will have a 10-minute discussion after each. At the conclusion of their presentation, we will vote by name, whether you want option A or option B. I'm gonna ask Rika to do the tally. I'm gonna ask Rika to do the tally because we're gonna have to say it out loud. And then whichever location is selected, then Rika will conclude with what next steps are in regards to either location. And then I'll come back with what committees are to do at our next general meeting. So with that, I am going to, no, first I want to go to Wendy. Wendy, can you present your piece in regards to everybody having a piece and a stake in this, Wendy?
I am confused by your question.
So we talked about having everybody type in the message box what committee.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we would like everyone to put your name and what committee you have joined or plan on joining for the duration of this project. And the committees are, in case you don't know, there is a data committee, there is a warehouse operations committee, there is communication, there is finance, and there is policy and procedures. There was a warehouse collection selection committee, but that is no longer. And then finally, we will have a volunteer committee to which we would need a chair. I will put those titles in the chat box. And from then, please list what committee you are a part of or plan on being a part of. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. So again, as we do this meeting, we need everybody to type in the chat box your name and what committee you're either on or what committee you're joining. Okay. All right. So at this point, I'm going to yield the floor to Rika for the Warehouse Selection Committee's presentation. Rika.
Thank you. I just had to unmute my phone. Thank you. So we have 2 opportunities, 2 options on the floor. We have the Bridgeport Tri-C option, and we also have the East 73rd option. So starting with the Bridgeport option, I am going to share my screen. All right, and the leadership team submitted a letter to the Bridgeport Tri-C partnership for review. We came up with several requirements that were necessary for the collaborative to continue to be a part of the of this partnership, to be an equal part of this partnership. So there were a few requirements that we had. So we sent that to Bridgeport and asked for their response. And this is what they were responding as. Mr. Bibbs is trying to get in. Okay. So the first requirement that we have was that we required that we do our own real-time data collection on site and in person. And the response from Bridgeport is that they can forward electronically a copy of all shipping documentation to include the packing list, the BOL, the ASN, to include photographic evidence, to the data specialist. They can forward daily counts of all products contained in the warehouse, and they feel that this can help reduce the costs associated with a full-time person counting the same products that they count as a part of the receiving process. Number two, our second requirement was that we require consistent labor support from Bridgeport and Tri-C throughout the extent of the 6-month project, more specifically during the interim in between their class sessions. And Bridgeport stated that they staff the warehouse and will have their team members at the facility to manage the products throughout the extent of the time the product is in their warehouse. We stated that we require to be the public face, providing all direct customer service contact to our clients, to have 2 appointed GCDC members will work in the warehouse at all times, and a minimum of 4 additional GCDC members will be on site during the established distribution hours. Their response was that the GCDC members on site during distribution hours is acceptable as long as they agree their role is to manage the product once it is outside of the warehouse. The 2 full-time GCDC members inside of the warehouse pose a challenge for several reasons, including liability, team safety, and costs to GCDC. As vendor managed inventory experts, there are not direct tasks needed to meet the receiving, storage, retrieval, and shipping functions, and they recommend that we save our resources and reallocate them where they provide more impact and value. We require that the appointed members will determine the scheduling pickup and be in charge of product distribution. They agree to that. GCDC requires an established distribution schedule that is conducive for both GCDC and Bridgeport Tri-C. They agreed to that and also stated that Bridgeport has expert schedulers and will provide guidance in order fulfillment, schedule development, and time management. We also stated that GCDC requires that a mediation process be established for problem resolution, and they asked that we please forward our mediation process for them to review. We asked to please provide in writing what is Bridgeport's commitment to the Greater Cleveland Distribution Collective, and they stated to please see the above responses and refer to the proposal, of which we have not seen. They stated that they sent it to Tammy. We have yet to see that. They feel that once selected as a warehouse partner, BPG Bridgeport has an operating agreement in addition to a standard lease agreement. With this information provided and the responses, the leadership team feels that the collective or the collaborative needs to have ownership of this project, that we have been working very hard to bring this together, that we want to have ownership, that the spirit of the collective would not be met with going with this project. The spirit of that togetherness, working together to serve the community, the leadership team does not feel that that is being met. The leadership team feels that there were statements that were made in the Zoom meeting that are being recanted and reversed in the document that is being provided, namely allowing 2 of our staff, at least 1, if not 2 of our staff, to be in the warehouse to collect our own data, to oversee our own products. They have now stated that they will not allow anyone in the warehouse. We can have members on the outside of the warehouse and we can handle it from there. They look to provide guidance to us as far as how we schedule our clients or organizations to come pick up. And we feel that we are able to do that and work together basically to get the job done. So the unanimous decision of the leadership team was to not accept the offer of the Bridgeport Tri-C proposal. Do we want to have discussion on that,
Yeah.
or do we want to go ahead and move forward to the other one and then to have discussion at the end?
No,
How do
let's break it up. So we're gonna do a 10-minute discussion on the Tri-C this Tri-C offer. So this is the point where you can ask the warehouse selection committee questions, and we're gonna spend no longer than 10 minutes on this part of it. So if somebody wants to speak, either raise your hand or somebody kind of jump out there so I can select somebody.
Are there
So
no questions?
nobody has questions on this? I don't see any hands going up and nobody's commenting. So, okay, I'm going to take it that there were no questions to be asked of the Tri-C offer. So then, if that is the case, Rika, you can go ahead with the next offer.
Okay. The next offer was the East 73rd warehouse location. I did go to the East 73rd location just a few days ago, just to check on the status of it. We have some pictures here, and the East 73rd location they have made significant progress. The bathrooms are cleaned and working. All of the water faucets are running. All of the toilets are flushing. The lights are working. There are a few light bulbs that still need to be replaced, but they are in the process of doing that. All of the trash and debris that was in the warehouse has been removed. These are the light bulbs that they are going to continue to replace. The office furniture that they said that they would leave is remaining in the office. The tow motors or forklifts that they said would leave, they have left those as well. We are going to look at, we have a mechanic that can look at these and to see what it would take to get them in working condition before we look at having to lease or rent another forklift. The dumpsters that they said they were leaving, they have left. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 dumpsters here in this area that they said that they would leave. They have done that. All of these doors are working and functioning. This door right here is the dock where the truck will pull into to offload. And over here where these gentlemen are standing is where the vehicles will pull up to have their cars loaded with the products. So the warehouse has been cleared out as they stated it would be. They're still doing just a few things as far as replacing a few more light bulbs. Mr. Muhammad Edward has agreed that he will take on the cost and project of power washing the floors and doing a basic whitewash of the whitewash of the walls right in this area up to this line. These are markings from the previous tenant to kind of give it a more sanitized space, so that we have basic minor facility improvements for operational readiness. So the warehouse has been cleaned. The East 73rd landlords have done what it is that they said they were going to do. This is a wide open space of 14,500 square feet with a functioning office and an additional space for a conference room. We have a break room area also that we can put together. If we look right here, this is Let me see if I can make that a little bit smaller. If we look, this is what the mock-up of that warehouse space would be. This is where those loading docks were, and this is where all of the inventory would come into, and staging right in this area. This right here is the forklift, the 10 flatbeds, and the 2 pallet jacks. So the inventory would then move over into these areas, and that's where they would be housed. Once we pack, the items would be over here once they get packed, ready to go out the door over here. We have this office space number 1, this conference room office space number 2. Back there where you saw the tow motors is where the break area would be, that we will all work together to get set up in the bathrooms. And this is the warehouse slop sink. Creating a safety zone around here where no motorized vehicles or equipment will be, so that we all have a safety zone. So this would be the mock-up of what the warehouse would look like in that 14,500 square feet. Lila is scheduled to have a meeting on Monday with Leslie with Suites 1300 regarding finalizing the insurance information for whichever warehouse it is that we select. Because this warehouse does meet the standard requirements that we have as far as the functionality, the community, the togetherness of the collaborative, the leadership team has voted unanimously to accept the East 73rd location as our warehouse site for our hygiene distribution.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Just to restate, the leadership committee made their recommendation on the 2,
Right.
not voting it into action, because this is what we're supposed to do today. So the first one, Rika stated, the leadership team, their recommendation was not to take the offer. The second one, their recommendation was to accept the offer, and she went over which were unanimous votes of the quorum that we had, and those were the outcomes. So we're going to give a window for 10 minutes of discussion on this particular offer, and then we'll move on to the vote. So at this point, if you have a question for the warehouse selection committee, please either raise your hand or somebody say something so you can be recognized. Okay, that looks like.
Tyra has her hand raised.
Who does?
Tyra.
I can't see that. Oh, go ahead, Tyra.
Yeah, so I wanted to know, number 1, what did you say? Who has the insurance and when would that be looked at again?
Lila with Neighborhood Connections and Suite 1300. There's Lila on the screen now. She is going to speak with Leslie. Lila, did you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So Leslie is our executive director. So I work for Neighborhood Connections, but Neighborhood Connections is a program of a nonprofit, Suite 1300 Services. Leslie is the executive director there. Leslie and I will meet tomorrow morning at 10:30 for me to explain the process. I anticipate after that, she will need to go back to the insurance holder Suite 1300 has for our office space at the Agora and have a discussion about what would insurance or what could insurance look like for you all in the warehouse space. And then I would bring that back. I've been communicating with Rika, that's been working out really well. So I would bring that back to Rika to share with you all.
Okay, and so you think probably like the end of the week, we'll probably know about insurance, maybe?
I hope before that. I hope it takes maybe a day or 2. I'd love to have something back with you all by Wednesday.
Okay, before I go to my next question, what I want to know is whatever we decide, is there a time frame on insurance before we get started, or how does that go?
With East 73rd, they are allowing minimal people to get in to basically get the warehouse set up. We would like to have, however, we would like to have the insurance in place by June 1 before we actually get started with distribution. But they are allowing us to come in ahead of time to get everything set up. As far as the Bridgeport location, their project begins tomorrow. So we would need to have the insurance in place for Bridgeport. I'm not sure because we're not even allowed inside of the warehouse. So I'm not really sure what insurance we would have to have. Yes, Ms. Lila?
I think there is no insurance requirement, and I think that's why they won't let anybody in the warehouse. That was my understanding from a quick review, because I wanted to go through and send for Leslie pieces of like, okay, what is the requirement for her to be able to share with Suite 1300 insurance? So that was my understanding, but I am no expert on this. But that was my understanding, and I made the assumption that that is why they wouldn't let people into the warehouse.
And certainly, let me chime in. Certainly, if we're not allowed in the warehouse or we're not going in the warehouse, I couldn't see a reason why we would need to carry insulin.
Right.
All right, so Tyra, go ahead.
And so my next question is, for the forklift, you said somebody was going to be able to look at that to see, are they charging us to see how much it would be to fix it? And if so, how much would that be? And when are they planning to look at it? And would it be ready and fixed by the time we start going?
Miss Jan, if you can answer that.
Well, I can't answer it until he comes in and looks at it, and he won't be able to answer it either until he determines what the problem is. He's just going to troubleshoot it for us, and I'm hoping that we could have him in, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. And after he comes in and troubleshoots, then he can give us an idea of cost and also an idea of time. But before he comes in, there's no way I can answer that question.
But there's no charge for a diagnostic, is that correct?
He won't charge me for it because he does a lot of our work at the center. No, it won't be a charge for the diagnostics.
Thank you.
Okay, and then my next one is, what about Mr. Muhammad? Is there a fee for what he's going to do?
Mr. Muhammad will be a paid staff. He will be the.
So that's included in what he's getting paid for?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And then my last question is just about the accountant, but I don't know if that's a part of this part now, or is that another question for another point?
A question for when we do when the finance committee present.
Okay.
That won't be at this meeting. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So next, I believe Taylor Wanda had her hand up.
So mine is just a really quick question about the warehouse corporations. I think I heard Rika say that the break room and some of the other areas that we'll all do together. So am I to understand that the collective will be helping to prep the warehouse, or is that done by Mr. Muhammad? Because I think I was under the assumption that all of the necessary duties to prepare the warehouse will be done by Mr. Muhammad.
It will be oversaw by Mr. Muhammad, but we as a collective in having ownership of the project, Mr. Muhammad and myself will go and do the base cleaning of the warehouse, the whitewash of the walls, the power washing of the floors, and the basic vacuum and cleaning of the office. As far as assisting with marking off areas, helping to set up the break room areas, and assisting, beautifying the bathroom if we want to do that, doing those basic housekeeping type of things that we would ask the collective to assist with and help to be a part of making the warehouse our home, basically, for the next 6 months. But the basic foundation of the warehouse will be myself and Mr. Muhammad.
Taylor Wanda, is that it?
Yeah, that was all I wanted.
Okay. Is there anybody else that has a question for the Warehouse Selection Committee?
Yes, I have a question. This is Bill.
I yield to Mr. Beard.
Okay. I have
And I see
a
your
couple of
hand up.
questions.
I'll come
The
back.
warehouse is not getting the warehouse ready for us. We have to get it ready for ourselves. Is that what I'm hearing? When I say ready, I mean to clean it up and all like that.
Well,
No. Go ahead, Rika. Go ahead.
the warehouse, they've done all of the basic, they've removed all of the debris, they've done the broom sweeping, they've done all of that. Any additional things that we want done, so it's ready, it's warehouse ready. We want to power wash the floors to help cut down on dust. We want to do a basic whitewash of the walls to remove those markings, to do basic minor facility improvements, to have it operational for us. This could be operational for any organization to walk into right now and to work in.
Okay. Second part of my second question. I'm not clear on when are you insured when you're working there.
Ms. Lila stated that she will be having a meeting with Leslie, and hopefully by midweek she will have a response to us.
Okay, so that's a follow-up question. So we're not going in there until we get insured, right?
The collective as a whole will not be in there until we get insured.
How about the collective as a part?
Yes, sir. We want to get in there for minor functional operational stuff. Yes, sir. We'll be going in and cleaning, like wiping down the desk, power washing the floors, doing a whitewash of the walls. Yes.
So if something happens to you, who's responsible? Whose liability?
We are of our own liability. We would at that point sign a liability waiver. At that point,
liability?
Up until the point of that liability is received.
How did we come to the conclusion we're waiving liability?
No, we as a collective are not waiving liability. Those who choose to go into the warehouse before the liability insurance is in place would choose to waive liability at that time.
The individuals, Mr.
The
Beard,
individuals,
would waive.
How do you waive? That's new to me. How do you waive a liability? Explain that process to me.
So for example, I'm going into McDonald's, and for whatever reason, they have a form there saying that if I enter and slip and fall, it's of my own risk. I signed that form, so legally, if I go in there and slip and fall, I don't hold McDonald's responsible.
That's exactly what I wanted you to hear you say, because I want to know who has the form.
And when is the form signed? Yeah, right.
We have liability waivers forms, and you can sign them before you enter the warehouse. Once again, that would only be up until the point that liability insurance is put in place by Suite 1300, if that is when that is to take place.
Right, Rika. So when are y'all signing the form, and who will have the forms that we know that you have signed the forms?
I will have all of the forms in a file folder marked liability waivers. They will be in our hands.
Of course, you know that has to be notarized and everything, right?
Okay.
You can't notarize your own form.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
Billy, may I make a suggestion, please? This
Yeah,
is Jan.
I was coming to you next, but I was trying to get Mr. Bibb's full.
Okay, because I want to respond in part to Mr. Bill's concern. Rika,
Okay.
I think it's important that you all run that past Suite 1300, since they are the ones who will be signing the final lease on this project, and make sure that they agree that you can go into that building before insurance is in place, and make sure that they agree that a waiver of liability is in fact effective, with this. So I think we need to have that vetted by Suite 1300 before we go into that facility.
And I would go
Definitely, no
further to
problem.
say, I believe we'd have to bring the owners of the warehouse in on the waiver of liability form as well. Because I get where if something happens, you're not going to sue, you wouldn't be able to sue the collective, but we don't want the warehouse to be at risk either.
Right, all of those names would be included in the liability waiver, and I'll definitely go over that with Elliot and Lila as well, if that needs to be put in place, because it could be a possibility that we have insurance by Wednesday. That could very well be. So
That would be great.
Yeah.
So I can see by seeing Lila, she got it. So she took it, thumbs up. So okay on the insurance. I still believe Mr. Bibb has the floor. So was that it, Mr. Bibb?
Yeah. The other piece I wasn't quite clear on is the area that we're getting ready. Does that, by me not being able to see it, is that ready? The break area, is the break area a separate area now?
No, sir. It's a part of the main warehouse. It's just an area that we would just kind of map off and section off with tables and tape off within the safety zone area. And we would have, basic tables set up with some chairs, a mini refrigerator, microwave, if we want to have a coffee maker, things of that nature, just for our comfort, so that, we can be able to sit down, have a break, have a cup of coffee if needed, if we're working there all day, to have that area put together.
Okay. So what I hear you saying, it's just space now. It's not a room separate.
That is correct.
Okay. No further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I did see, and we got about 1 more minute on this 10-minute discussion portion, but I did see Tyra's hand go back up. So Tyra, did you have another question?
No, I didn't have another question. I'm fine. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else before we close this out, and then I'll go over the voting procedure. All right, so discussion on this proposal is closed. So I'm going to restate what we talked about before some people came into the room. We would like everybody in the chat box, type in your name and the committee that you're either on or the committee that you'd like to join, because we want this to be a working collective. So we have to have you on a committee. So please type that in the chat box. So for the purposes of voting, we're going to just simply state, yes, I'm voting for option 1, or yes, I'm voting for option 2. So Rika, that's the timer ended, sorry. Rika will do the collection. I'm gonna have to go with each person. Some of these are phone numbers, so y'all gonna have to help me. I think I know Mr. Biz, but some of these are phone numbers. So I'm just gonna call by name of the collective members. We have 11 collective members on the call. So I need 11 votes, okay? So I'm gonna go down, you can unmute yourself. I vote for option 1, or I vote for option 2, okay? So first, Mr. Bibb, because that's what I have on here first. Mr. Bibb, how?
Okay, explain that option 1, option 2. What?
Okay, so option 1 is Tri-Seed. Option 2 is the warehouse. What's that address, Rika?
East 73rd.
Option 2 is East 73rd. So you only have to vote to say yes to one option. I'm for option 1, or I'm for option 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, option 2.
Thank you. That was Mr. Bibb. Yes, option 2. Okay, next I got Karen.
Yes, Karen, option 2.
That is Karen, yes on option 2. Tony?
Yes, option 2.
That is Tony, yes, option 2. Edward? Edward? Okay, I'll come back to Edward. Jan?
I'm sorry, I had it on mute. Option 2.
So that is Jan, yes on option 2. I see.
Hey, Billy, I'm on.
Yeah, I see now Edward is unmuted. Edward, what's your pleasure?
Option 2.
So that is Edward, yes on option 2. Let me get down a bit further so I'm missing some people. Who else is on here I can't see?
Talawanda.
Okay, thank you. Tara LaWanda.
Option 2.
That is
Excuse
Tara
me, option
LaWanda.
2.
That is Tara LaWanda, yes on option 2. I did not go to Wendy yet. Wendy, what's your pleasure?
Option 2.
That is Wendy, yes on option 2. And I know that,
Bessie?
okay, Bessie, what's your pleasure?
Yes, on option 2.
That is Bessie, yes on option 2. I missed,
Tyra?
say it again. Tyra?
Tyra?
Sorry, Tyra, what's your pleasure?
Yes, option 2.
That is Tyra, yes on option 2. I'm still missing somebody that I know is on here. Why can't I see the full? Hold on.
No, that's everybody. Besides you and myself.
Tyra.
Tyra just voted.
Did we just-
Lila. That's everyone.
Okay. So, Rika, what's your pleasure?
Yes, option 2.
Okay, and I'll finally, Billy Sharp, yes, option 2.
We have a unanimous decision to go with the warehouse on East 73rd.
All right, I want to thank everybody for voting. At this point, I'm gonna go back to yield the floor back to Rika so she can explain what are next steps in regards to how we respond to the two proposals that we had. So go with Tracy first, Rika, and then.
So with Tri-C, the leadership team will come back together and generate a formal response to submit back to Andre and James of East 73rd. And we will also meet with Lila. I'll have a meeting with Lila within the next few days to shore up the insurance for East 73rd. We will also send a formal response to East 73rd accepting their offer. I would prefer to do it after we meet with Leslie with East 73rd. With Suite 1300, so that we have some concrete information with regards to the insurance piece. And once we have written those formal agreements, the formal final lease will go to Suite 1300 for signing and approval for the East 73rd location. Once that lease is signed, we're in motion.
So everybody on the collective will get a notification that the lease has been signed. So we'll be alerted that, that is taking place. What we would like to happen is between now and the next general body meeting that every committee meets, because at the next general body meeting, everybody has to give their report. There's still a budget that we have to vote on. There is still the warehouse operations committee, their official and final warehouse rules and regulations. the promotion committee, I'm saying that wrong, communication
Policies and
committee,
procedures and
policy
communication.
procedures. There's a lot of stuff we're going to have to vote on in that next general body meeting, but those chairs of those committees who I'm talking to now, we need you to be able to present at that meeting and have something tangible for us to vote up yes or no. Okay?
Okay.
So,
Got it.
good. So I'm going to set, is it okay that we come back next Sunday? Or you want to come back Saturday?
Sunday works for me.
What is the date of Sunday?
Hold on one second. I can tell you right now.
23rd.
Good job, Mr. Bibb. On it.
Okay.
Absolutely right. The 23rd.
Okay. That's fine.
Now, mind you, guys, when we come back on Sunday, we're gonna be ready to roll. Because I think, when is that truck supposed to be coming, Rika?
Well, the truck was that was initially set to come on the 21st has been canceled. And so we will, now that the warehouse has been selected, once we sign that lease, we will then get on the ball as far as getting that first truck ordered. So it was set for the 21st. We would like to set it for the following week if we can't get it on the 21st.
Okay. So, Wendy, were you able to see the chat to see what committees people joined or people were on?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Can you put that in a written form and get to those committee chairs and let them know these are the people that are on your committee so they can reach out to those people with their meeting notifications? If anybody needs a Zoom to be set up for your meeting, reach out to me and I'll set the Zoom up and then give it to you and then you can forward out to your team.
That's great. I'll put that in, I'll send it to the leadership thread so that you guys will know.
Right,
and then in the group thread where everyone is, I'm going to send a notice to everybody that please respond with your name and the committee that you're a part of, even though you weren't able to attend the meeting today.
Good, because we got 11 on, so based on Rika's highest number of 14, it's not too many people missing. Okay, if there are no other announcements or comments, we will reconvene on Sunday at 7 p.m. And again, all of our committee chairs, please be ready to present the whole body with something tangible on how we're moving forward. I think there'll be some other announcements as well, because we'll be able to talk about then, you know, we got the insurance, all that stuff. I'm pretty sure Rika then would have an update on what's actually going on in the warehouse, if anything happens. Okay.
And then as far as the letter to Tri-C, when will that be completed or is it completed already?
No, the leadership team will come back together to formulate that letter.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Rika?
Sir.
If you could just put together a skeleton of that, just so we have something to go on when we convene. So I want that to be a real short meeting so we can get that back to them in short order.
Yes, sir.
Or most of the leadership team is on now. Do you guys agree with if Rika comes up with something and she disperses it through email and we just approve it through email instead of coming back in a meeting?
Sounds great to me.
Yes.
That's good.
Anybody disagree with that?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Rico, just call me, would you please?
Yes, sir, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that way we can get that thing out Monday, Tuesday, no later than that. So they're not waiting to see, you know, what our response was to what they submitted in writing.
If you could wait to do the letter until I have my meeting tomorrow morning, because I'm going to get a lot of information, that would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Okay. So then we won't expect anything from you, Rika, until either late Monday or earliest Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yes, sir.
That's
Ms. Jen
fine.
has her hand up.
Go ahead, Jen. Sorry.
Yeah. I just want to say that none of us should be talking to Tri-C saying we didn't choose your proposal. I think it needs to be a formal letter written to Tri-C from the collaborative, and not any of us talking directly to them. As Lila just mentioned, we don't know what's going to happen, in the next day or so with insurance, and we don't want to jump the gun or misstep on this, but it needs to be a formal response coming from the collaborative or leadership or whoever that, whoever's designated to do that. But we should not be having discussions directly with them saying we didn't accept your proposal.
And as always, let me drill down even further on that. So if you're having a conversation with somebody who's not on this call but is a member of the collective, please express to them that we will get with Tri-C in a written form and inform them of what we decided. Please don't call or whatever, because I know some people wanted to be in that program and so on and so forth, so they may be in contact with people at Tri-C. But don't jump us and get out there and say something that we may later, not do. Okay?
So,
Okay, guys.
Okay.
Yes.
it's a hand up. It's a hand up.
Ms.
That-
Jan
that-
has her hand up
that's-
again.
Jan, was that from the last time or are you putting it back up? Jan?
Sorry, I was muted. No, I don't know what I did. I just saw that hand up there. I guess I was saying bye, y'all.
Well, look at how much better we're getting at meetings. Look at how we just streamline and we getting on these calls and getting off. I think we're doing a wonderful, wonderful job. I cannot wait until we have all the committee members out and have a grand opening of that warehouse and so on and so forth. I think it's going to be great.
I do too.
Well done. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Wow.
Billy, please
Night,
take
everyone.
a picture of the chat.
Okay, I'm going to do
I
that
took
now.
one. Yeah, you take one. All
I'm
right.
going to do it now. Okay. Before I close it out.
Hello?
Oh. Y'all can go ahead and get off. I'm just copying the chat before I get off. All right. See you later, Edward.